What's up, bro? Good to see you, man. Mr. SoCal. I think my metal rain is in the car. What up, Jag? Come on, Jag. I recognize everybody in here. I'm a fragrance and YouTube savant. I remember everything. I've got a low IQ, but an insane memory. Thank you, brother. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. What y'all got for me, man? What y'all got for me tonight? Scent of the days. What is it? Matter of fact, that reminds me. Actually, no, my fragrance, my metal rain is in the car. Huh. Okay, cool. Absolutely not, Zero. You're in the wrong place. You walked down the wrong alleyway, Zero. Cremo and spice. Wow. Dang. Dang, I haven't smelled music, Ravenger Joel. Cremo and spice, scent of the day. That's crazy. What's up, everybody? Hey, I see 14 people in here. Run those likes up real quick, man. YouTube's going to flood it in here. I think we're going to hit 100 people in here tonight. Hit that like button right now. Top right corner of the screen. Hit the 3 dots. Hit the like. The more likes that go up, YouTube's going to flood the chat with fragrance heads. Come on, y'all. Run it up. I'm not playing. Takes you 2 seconds. It gets it popping in here. Come on, y'all. I ain't playing. 2 likes ain't enough. Multi. Cool. So let's turn that off and let's hit multi again. There you go. Run those likes up, guys. Get the chat flooded. We want people in here talking fragrance. Y'all know how I get. I'm long-winded. Run the likes up. Linsumi and French Avenue's Amber. Hold on. It's not about views. It's not about none of that. It's about YouTube rewarding y'all and giving you guys people to talk fragrance with. Linsumi and French Avenue's Amber Saffron on the way. Oh, okay. I see you. I'm thinking about getting YSL myself tonight. And Night Vision EDT and Aqua de Geo EDP. That's a decent lineup. I'm not mad at it. One thing we did get in today is Greenlee sent me another batch of Yaman Lale. So part 2 to Yaman Lale is coming this probably this weekend. Let's see what he sent me. He sent me Stark Vision, which is LV Imagination, Elm Street, which is Bond Number 9's Lafayette Street, L'Impossible, which is LV's L'Immensité, Midnight, which is Grand Soir, and Sobs, which is PDM Greenlee. So that should be a good one. I went to Sephora and all the Aqua di Gios weren't clearly labeled. The one I liked was a basic clear see-through bottle. Which one is that? That one's the EDP. That one's the latest release right here. It's probably greener than all the rest of them, but you have the Eau de Toilette of Aqua di Gio, which is a frosted bottle. That's the Eau de Toilette. Then you have the Parfum, which is a slightly darker semi-gloss bottle. Then you have Perfumo, which is black. And then you have the EDP, which is clear. What's up, Ed? What you need a recommendation for, Ed? What do you think of Paris Corner? What do you think of Paris Corner House? Should I grab Rafficat and Ministry of Oud line? If you like Oud Satin Mood, Ministry of Oud's Oud Satin is 10 out of 10 accurate to MFK Oud Satin Mood. Oud Royal is a like 9 out of 10 clone of Royal Oud from Creed. Rafficat is hit or miss. Half the people love it, half the people hate it. If you have not smelled Baby Cat before, then don't buy the fragrance, because if you don't know if you like Baby Cat, it's very hit or miss for a lot of people, especially in the clone world. It's less hit or miss if you have the actual Baby Cat. But if you don't and you're just playing on, oh, I might like vanilla and spices and all that goofy stuff, don't get it. Don't blind buy it. Abercrombie and Fitch Fierce Fire is fire. It's okay. It's a little dated. What do you think of Paris Corner House? Should I grab? Oh, we already asked. Been using Curve Crush too long. Well, what type of fragrance are you looking for, Ed? I'll help you out. Greenlee's awesome. He is. Prada is bomb. Which one? Tell me which Prada. I'll tell you if it's bomb or not. Joel, is Baby Cat feminine smelling? Not really. I would call it perfectly unisex, but I definitely wouldn't call it masculine leaning. Anytime you're dealing with vanilla, you're probably going to have a feminine leaning female unisex fragrance, unless there's like cognac or booze or isn't super forward in vanilla, but almost every fragrance is vanilla forward. Echo Blue, the ladies love it. Maybe teenagers. Rafficat smelled like cardboard. Absolutely not. Oud Royal is worthy of blind buys. I haven't tried the OG. If you haven't tried the OG, then Oud Royal is never a blind buy. I mean, shoot, Creed Royal Oud is not even blind buy worthy. You will smell like a mafia boss that kills people. It is a very unique scent. Go to Neiman Marcus or buy a decant of Royal Oud from Creed before you buy it. It is a very challenging, unique fragrance. It is not blind buy worthy. If you like Creed's Oud Royal, there's a little more light in here. If you like Creed's Royal Oud, then yes, get Ministry of Oud Royal, because it is extremely close. And I do have both here, so I can confirm that. Do you have a favorite musk-dominant fragrance? I absolutely do. Initio, the House of Initio Musk Therapy is one of my favorite musk-centric fragrances, but you don't have to get Musk Therapy. One of the best 10 out of 10 clones to me is Glorious Oud Royal Blanc Extrait to Parfum by French Avenue. Feel free to take a screenshot of that. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The bottle looks a lot like Lattafa's Body Al Oud Honor and Glory, but it is not. They are not the same fragrance. They are just bored and couldn't get creative on the bottle presentation. Incredible musk, white floral, slight sweetness, maybe a 5 out of 10 sweetness. Powdery, soft, projective, and sillage monster. It's not beast mode, but it's almost beast mode. Do you have a favorite most dominant frag SB? Yes, we already went over that. Prada Sport Red and Chrome bottle. Okay. Yes, sir. I want that Mafia Boss juice. Okay. Ministry of Oud Royal. 9 out of 10 clone of Creed Royal Oud. It looks a lot like this fragrance. However, instead of this being blue, it's all black. Same clear bottle, gold top, but this is black. Ministry of Oud, Oud Royal. Really, 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 really solid choice. 100 ml of juice. You could probably snag it up for about 35, 40 bucks. I need a fragrance that attracts the opposite sex in any occasion. At work, gym, anywhere. I want that lady to want to get a second smell. Then you have to play it safe. Because if you're too niche, you'll only get a certain type of woman. You want the highest complimented designer fragrance. I don't care what you guys think about my recommendation here. I do not even wear this fragrance, but I own it because you should own this fragrance. This is Versace Eros EDT, and it is the most complimented fragrance in designer and in niche. But it has the ability to be as fresh, almost as fresh as Bleu de Chanel, but have that sweet, alluring, vanillic, appley charm. So I like it because it's not overly sweet. It's not overly romantic too. It's romantic and it's fresh, versatile. The EDT is the cheapest out of the EDP and the Parfum, and you will still get 8 to 10 hours of projection, sillage, and longevity. Your scent bubble will be about 5 feet. It's an incredible fragrance. For about 30 bucks, you can get 50 ml. For about 35, 40 bucks, you can get 100 ml. If you want guaranteed compliments for any season, any reason, any occasion, you're just looking for female compliments, this is going to be the highest tried and true fragrance of all time. We can talk niche, we can talk designer, we can talk clone, but this one is war tested. Women say they love this fragrance and that it beats out everything. Gucci, Dior, all of it. I only try to decant. Maybe I need it maturing. Smelled like paper and cardboard to me. Well, let's just put this out there. Rafficat is not anything special. You know what I'm saying? If you want something even cheaper that'll still scratch the Rafficat itch, get the Tuxedo DNA. Maison Alhambra's Kismet is going to get you feeling like Casino Royale James Bond vibes. Picture James Bond sitting at the poker table, and he is drinking either dark liquor or some type of dark champagne, preferably something with like a cognac vibe to it. It's vanilla, it's cardamom, it's cinnamon, and it's booze. I would say it's perfectly unisex. What keeps it masculine is the alcohol and booze. Otherwise, it would feel more angel share-esque. But this is a beautiful ballroom, seductive date night fragrance, upscale. And this clone is like shockingly projective, high performing, and cheap. And to me, it's a lot more consistent than Rafficat. Rafficat is split down the middle, 50-50. People say it smells terrible, or people say it's great. But Kismet is notorious. If you want to get something that's a little more higher rated by more people, you can get Offnon's Tarathi Brown. It looks like Tarathi Blue, which is... Where the heck is my Tarathi Blue, guys? Looks like this fragrance. But instead of being blue, it is light brown. It's the color of this juice, but it's the same shape and looking bottle. Offnon Tarathi Brown. That's a YSL Tuxedo clone as well. And it has a little bit more feedback online, but you're going to pay a little bit more for it. In my opinion, Kismet is absolutely quality, non-synthetic. You can get it on Amazon right now for 20 bucks, and you'll have an amazing, seductive, vanillic scent that has enough booze on it to still feel masculine. And you can dress it up or dress it casual date night. The woman will be all over you. Can you do a review on Ministry of Oud, Royal Oud? I have. I've done a review on Oud Royal, and I've also done a review on Creed's Royal Oud. Just look for the video that says Mafia Boss. A lot of you new guys that are starting to... Wait, before I get into anything, there's 22 people in here and only 6 likes. If you want YouTube to instantly inject more fragrance heads into this live right now so you guys can talk together while I'm long-winded with questions like I normally am, hit the like button. It's not for me, it's for you guys. Trust me. They will flood more people in here. Last night we had 1,000 people over the course of 2 hours come in and out of here. If you want another 1,000 people to come in, run the like button up so YouTube knows, oh, this is a live on fragrance. There's not a lot of people live right now talking about fragrance, and they will inject a surge of people from all around the world in here to chat with you guys about fragrance while I'm going through each question. But for those of you who are new to my channel, if you go to the video section and then go to the search box, you can just type Royal Oud in the top right corner, and it will prioritize all of the videos where I talk about those particular fragrances, the clone and the original Creed Royal Oud. It'll pull that up. And any fragrance you're interested in seeing, if I have a review on, you can go in there. I review inspirations, curated decants, clones and dupes and inspireds, designer, and niche. And we just actually hit the 400 video mark. I've uploaded 400 videos in like 4 months, which is pretty incredible. That's like on average 1.5 to 2 video uploads a day. And so we upload every single day for you guys. So yeah, that second shelf blue bottle is a beast. I'm guessing this one. I don't know if there's any other blue bottle. Anyways, what is your favorite beast mode tobacco? Right here. That's an easy one. This is the best tobacco fragrance of all time to me. Unless we're talking niche fragrances over $300, anything under $300, this beats to me personally. Ombre Noir from La Lique. This is only about a $40 fragrance for the 100 ml. And to be honest, I was just talking to Kix Griffey about this last night. What are we talking about? We're talking about the best hit of tobacco humanly possible. I am not a tobacco lover. If you don't love tobacco, you will still love this tobacco. It's tobacco, it's cinnamon, it's vetiver, it's amber, it's resinous dark woods, and then it is drenched. And I mean drenched, like picture a 400-pound woman jumping off of a diving board into a swimming pool that is not made of water, but made of cognac. So take all those ingredients I just told you and picture a 400-pound lady holding all those ingredients in her arms, and she jumps off of a 10-foot diving board into a swimming pool of cognac. It is drenched in cognac. This looks and smells like you could just take a shot of it and knock it back. This is an edgy masculine fragrance. You got to be older than 25 to rock that. Young people stay away. It'll put too much chest hair on you. What's the gray Gucci Guilty basic gray one? I don't have Gucci. I don't wear Gucci. Blue Noir Parfum. Beautiful. Beautiful, Shamil. Amouage Royal Tobacco. Yeah, it's not bad. I actually do like that one as well. I'm more of a fan of the dark resinous feel of this, but I like that one as well from Amouage. So excited for Club de Nuit Iconic. Iconic's beautiful. It doesn't smell as good as Bleu de Chanel Eau de Parfum, but it's about 85 to 90% close, and where it lacks in DNA, it kills it in performance. You want a 10-hour plus blue fragrance that is like 90% Bleu de Chanel DNA? Then get you some Club de Nuit Iconic. What's cracking, Greenlee? Hey, Greenlee, I was just telling everybody, buddy. I cleaned this up. The only thing that happened to it, buddy, is when I went to wipe the perfume off of this box, it wiped off this gold print. It's still there, but the goldness of it is gone. So the perfume kind of ate away at this box. But I alcohol swiped all of this and cleaned up all of this. And we're going to get cracking on those interviews. Don't mind my son's drawings. He likes to hang them in my office. But we'll get cracking on these probably here in the next day or two. So part 2's coming soon. Again, if you'd like me to rate your guys' fragrance collection, please send all of your pictures to Scent Bubble Submit, SCENT. So Scent Bubble Submit at gmail.com, and you will be featured on the next episode of Rate My Fragrance Collection, where I look at your fragrance collection, I give it a rating, but then I also tell you, based off what you have in your collection, what I would recommend is missing from your collection. It might be you're missing a particular season, maybe you're missing a particular occasion, maybe you're all designer, I might recommend some niche, vice versa. Maybe I might show you some great alternatives or some next upgrades from what you have, things like that. Definitely send just a simple picture from your phone of your collection. I'd be happy to include you in round 2 of Rate My Fragrance. The three-headed goat is in attendance. Eros has never done me wrong, for real. Eros has never done, listen, Eros is not my cup of tea, but I will never stop recommending this fragrance because it will never do you wrong. If you like women, get Eros. If you like performance, longevity, and sillage, get this fragrance. If you like affordability, get this fragrance. If you like bottle presentation, get this fragrance. If you like versatility and the ability to dress up or dress down the fragrance, get Versace Eros. And for the love of our sweet Lord and Savior, get the EDT. It is the cheapest, 100 ml, $35. You cannot beat that price point, guys. It's priced like a clone at this point. Get it in your collection. You will have a high caliber fragrance. If you were buying a Louis Vuitton fragrance, which would you buy first? Lovers or Imagination? Neither. Neither. You're going to find out really fast that when you're first starting out in your fragrance journey and you have less than like 20 fragrances, you're looking for an incredible, sophisticated, citrus-based aquatic fragrance. And the perfumer for LV is the same perfumer of Issey Miyake fragrances, which are typically citruses on aquatics, citruses and freshness, things like that. So it's basically a bowl of citrus with either aquatic or green, and it feels upscale, and it feels extremely fresh, airy, and light and nice. Good performance, moderate to high performance. So Imagination and L'Immensité and Lovers is not bad. Pacific Chill is not bad. Meteor is not bad. Okay? But the problem is eventually you will hit this streak where you're like, I am so sick and tired of fruity aquatics. And it's not like you won't ever wear it again, but it's just not going to be something you go on your shelf and constantly want to grab. It's like if I had LV right now, okay, yeah, I might take it and wear it almost every single day for like a month straight. But then I'm just going to get tired of any time I smell lemon, anytime I smell orange, anytime I smell grapefruit, anytime I smell amber, and anytime I smell aquatics. So it's not a bad fragrance. It just becomes generic very quickly because there's no nuance to it. It's an extremely commercial, popular type of DNA that's just done extremely well, but gets very boring very quickly. So I would say for me, I would go off the beaten path with LV, and I would probably go something like Ombre Nomad. I might go something like Matiere, Meteor Nights or whatever. I might start with something in that realm. But I honestly believe that Louis Vuitton at this point in time is not worth the money because there are so many designer fragrances that clone it. There are so many inspirations that clone it. And you can get the LV DNA almost over 95% today for less than 35 bucks. So I say, is it necessary to your collection? The DNA is, but not the fragrance. You do need a citrus aquatic or a citrus basket fresh type of fragrance, but something like Sahib Intense, which is a terrible looking bottle, is to me, 95% close to imagination. It does the job. 35 bucks, 75 ml, and you can call it a freaking day. So if you want to wear the bottle out, nice. A lot of people wind up using half their LV, or they decant it out to try and recoup on money. And what that ultimately says is that that fragrance isn't as special as you thought it was. You don't need 100 ml of imagination DNA, and it is just like that. What is Parfums de Marly, Perseus, and Haultain like? Well, let me get you, if you want an actual breakdown. So, let's unplug this for half a second. I want people to flood the chat and let him know what you think about the fragrance over me, because I'm not a big fan of these, so I'm going to make them sound bad. But here's your breakdown of Haultain. Clary, sage, lavender, bergamot, mid, saffron, praline, base, agarwood, oud, and cedar. It has a good projection, sillage, and longevity. Where's the votes on this thing? Where is the vote? So it's got a 4.38 rating out of 5 with 3,000 votes. So it's a decent little fragrance. What was the other one? And Perseus. Perseus is going to be top grapefruit, bergamot, blackcurrant, mid, vetiver, mandarin, and geranium. And in the base, dry wood, cashmere wood, ambergris, balsams, cedar, and tonka bean. It has a rating of 3.9 out of 5 out of 1,700 votes, respectively. So what does that tell you? That tells you if you have to have Perseus or Haultain, you should go with Haultain because it is rated by about double the amount of votes, and it has a 0.4 higher rating with higher vote amounts with reliability. Haultain is also the better performing fragrance just by a smidge. So I would start with Haultain, and I also believe that Perseus has some good clones. Haultain actually from Maison Alhambra has a good clone as well. That's at least 9 out of 10. So it's up to you. But if you had to pick PDM and you're stuck buying niche, definitely go with Haultain. I honestly believe that in over 90% of Parfums de Marly fragrances, you do not need 100 ml. There's only a couple of fragrances from PDM that I would want 100 mLs of. Wajan, Latent Exclusive, and then either or Carlisle or Sedley. That's assuming I don't go with the clones, but there's valid clones for all of those fragrances. Okay, Polo Red EDT, but it's too weak. Have you tried either flankers, or do you know of an alternative in a similar vein to that that has better performance? Well, Faison, let me take you over here one more time. My office is still getting a little bit cooked right now. I need to get it together. Here's a really good tip for any of you guys when you are surfing for fragrances. Let's zoom in a little bit so you guys can see. So he said he's interested in Polo Red EDT. So we're going to go on Fragrantica Polo Red, right? And when we click Polo Red, we're going to scroll all the way down. So first off, you can look at the ratings. You can see, so it's got a 3.8 out of 5 with 3,500 votes. So a lot of votes that basically say it's an average fragrance. Note breakdown, but here's the more important part. If you keep scrolling down, you can look right here. This perfume reminds me of, and then they have a list of fragrances. A lot of these are from Polo, but there's some other nuanced ones in there. Here you can see that the dark version of Halloween Man, so Halloween Man X, smells a lot like it. But this is really helpful for you guys searching for fragrance, because you can go down here and see all of the fragrances that have basically a similar compound. Shoot, they even threw Versace Eros in there. So that's really helpful. And you can see all fragrances that have a similar, oh, I used to love this fragrance. I forgot I used to own this fragrance. This fragrance is nice. Givenchy Play. Ooh, I used to love that fragrance. Coffee in there. Woo! Amorous. Man, that's a killer lineup. Coffee, pink pepper, amorous, patchouli, vetiver, French labdanum. Sick. But yeah, so if you're trying to find a fragrance similar to something you used to love, just go on Fragrantica and scroll all the way down, and it will show you tons of suggestions of fragrances that either have the same composition, or it'll show you fragrances where people that like that fragrance also gravitated towards other recommended fragrances, and they'll give you a giant list of stuff to try. All right, Tarathi Blue, I like that one a lot. Banger, you know, Tygar, who doesn't like Tygar? Can you school me about this Dior Homme best years? People always say don't get the, well, I can't school you a lot, and some of the things I might say aren't true. But I believe, so obviously with Dior Homme, you're dealing with two categories for what most people talk about. Dior Homme Intense, or also referred to as DHI, and Dior Homme Parfum, or DHP. A lot of people, the distinction between those two formulas is that they're essentially the exact same fragrance in the air, except for the iris that is in Dior Homme Intense is a lot thicker, dense and subdued, highly powdery, and highly creamy. So it's dense, creamy, but then there's this powdery, smooth brush on it. Dior Homme Parfum is very similar, but where Dior Homme Intense is warm and rich and buttery and powdery, Dior Homme Parfum, the iris is a lot fresher and out and open and spreading around in the air. They call it the dusty iris, so you're not getting the buttery creaminess. It's still a dense, rich iris, but it's a fresh, out in the air, aromatic, still slightly powdery, but the adjective I would use is ashy. It's got an ashy dustiness to it. Has a little rough edge harshness to it. Not harshness like synthetic, not harshness like you won't like it, but the type of brush on your nostrils that something really fresh would have, where you're just like, you know, it just kind of gives you a little bit more invigorated. It wakes you up. Whereas the Dior Homme Intense is like a smooth killer. Now, when it comes to the dates, I'm pretty sure that the major commentary on Dior Homme Intense is that people say the best version, I believe, is 2011 Dior Homme Intense, which is virtually hard to find. It's extremely expensive. Or Dior Homme Intense 2020 with DHP. Honestly, the new Dior Homme Parfum is sucky. To anyone new to Dior Homme fragrances, it smells good, but comparatively to any fragrance behind it from the mid 2000s to even a couple of years ago, 2022 or 2020 or 2023, I forget, those and back are better than the current DHP. Now, the thing about all that is you have some incredible clone opportunities, because the price is absolutely inflated to all hell. I mean, this is an example of a Dior Homme Intense clone called Privé's Illusion Intense. So cheap looking, but I would say this is a 95% accurate and high performing non-synthetic clone of Dior Homme Intense. And you can get this at TJ Maxx for $13 for 100 ml. This honestly will go toe to toe to the other two DHI clones that I'm aware of, even though there's way more, which is Camaro Homme Intense and Cayenne Classic. I do have Cayenne Classic, and I do think it's a phenomenal fragrance. But if you put these side by side on paper, you wouldn't know the difference. But most people refer to Camaro Homme Intense or Cayenne Classic for DHI type of DNA. Is it going to smell like 2020 or 2011 Dior Homme Intense? Not exactly, but it'll at least get you 90+% to the current iteration of it, and for a fraction of the cost. Now, with Dior Homme Parfum, to me, even though there's a couple different iterations of it, nothing to me today beats Gary's Den in terms of Dior Homme Parfum, fresh, dusted, edgy iris. This is just a masterclass of a clone. I would call it about 9.5 or 9 out of 10 closeness, which is good enough for me. It's extremely fresh. It wears on skin very heavy. And for anybody who's a little bit intimidated by the heavy, creamy, buttery iris that a lot of people talk about, they might get off-put and think it's a bit feminine. Dior Homme Parfum is a better entry point than Dior Homme Intense because it's going to be a lot more fresher, aromatic, and out in the air, but you're still going to get that lipsticky iris. It's just not going to be as feminine because it's more aromatic fresh, but it's essentially the exact same DNA. Again, the new Dior Homme Parfum 2025 that just released is trash. Either get the older version, if you can, or get Gary's Den. Now, there is one slight caveat with this conversation because I just reviewed a fragrance from the House of Dastan, D-A-S-T-A-N. And House of Dastan has a fragrance called Love Something. Hold on, let me check. House of Dastan. It is House of Dastan Love Flame. And that is a much better, stronger, more photoreal version of Dior Homme Parfum 2025. And that is better than Gary's Den. But to get to it, you have to pay $300. So at that point, you might as well just simply buy Dior Homme Parfum Original or Dior Homme Intense. But it was a really good fragrance. So that's the only kind of caveat to it. But Gary's Den is going to hit my DHP itch just fine. Illusion Intense and Cayenne Classic, $20 and $13 will scratch my Dior Homme Parfum. And actually, my homie Mike just came over a couple of days ago, and he let me smell a 2011 Dior Homme Intense. And so I have smelled what people are considering the best formulation. I might be wrong. It might be 2020, but I think it's 2011 Dior Homme Intense. But it was good, but it did not blow my socks off. I think the newer iterations are more for commercial use. And a lot of times when you have a bottle like that, it's so nostalgic and vintage and holds its value so heavy that a lot of times you're going to want to buy the clone anyway to use that instead of wasting juice, because each spray of Dior Homme Intense 2012 or 2011 or 2010, whatever, you're spraying like 30 bucks a spray. So most people don't even use the bottle that they have. Hopefully that gave you some good information, NYC. What fragrance smells amazing on hoodies and clothes after wearing it based on your experience? Well, Gary's Den smells phenomenal on skin. That's your Dior Homme Parfum DNA. Off Non-Supremacy Collector's Edition. That's in between Aventus Absolue from Creed and Nishane's Hasavat. That oak moss pineapple fragrance smells awesome on clothes. Musk Therapy Clone, which is Glorious Oud Royal Blanc. That sits on clothes as this kind of powdery, slightly sweet, white floral, heavy musk medley. That sits on clothes amazingly. Zara Man, which is your Tom Ford Black Orchid Clone EDP. Armoff's Club de Nuit Pre-Show 1, which is a more Aventus Absolute leaning smoky birch pineapple fragrance. Cassius is really good on clothes. Club de Nuit Milestone is heavy on clothes. Club de Nuit Iconic is heavy on clothes. Lalique Noir, Ombre Noir from Lalique is heavy on clothes. Versace Eros is heavy on clothes. Dior Homme Intense is heavy on clothes. Bentley for Men Intense is heavy on clothes. Lattafa's Assad is heavy on clothes. African Leather or Afro Leather from Maison Alhambra is heavy on clothes. The brand new Lattafa's Teriyaki Intense is super heavy on clothes. I forgot how many fragrances I have that go crazy on a hoodie. I have more. Zanzibar, Oud Satin Mood, Celestial. All these fragrances go incredible on a hoodie. But to be honest, wearing stuff on clothes changes the DNA a bit. I'm more of a fan of make sure you shower and exfoliate your skin and then apply the fragrance on your skin. It will maintain its shape and character longer. When you put stuff on clothes, it duffs it out, the air wafts through it. You're dealing with the kind of a fabric twist to your fragrance. You're not really smelling the true thing. The concept of you want the girl to smell your hoodie a day later, or you want her pillows to smell like you when you leave. I'm going to be honest, that's a goofy concept. I mean, with powerful fragrances, that concept is always going to go into play, but you don't want to smell like fabric and fragrance when you're with a person. Let her smell it on your skin. The skin will radiate. The skin will exfoliate. The skin will maintain the fragrance. Now, some skins absorb the hell out of fragrance, but it's not going to change the fragrance. I'm a big fan of skin wearing fragrance, not putting it around on your shirt, unless we're dealing with a powerhouse fragrance. But even if I was dealing with a powerhouse fragrance, I would still put it on skin and put the clothes over the skin to kind of duff it out and preserve some of the longevity. Can you show me the bottle again? I need a screenshot. Which one, Ed? I'm wearing Ombre Noir in bed. Oh, you got the fragrance. What do you think about the fragrance, SoCal? Yeah, you like that analogy. Yo, what's up? Thanks for those recommendations last stream. Anytime, Waffle. Also, what would you recommend for a good masculine woodsy scent? Dude, I'm going to be honest. Unless you're 30 and up, don't listen to what I'm about to say. If you want wood, pause. See, SoCal, you know what I'm already going to be reaching for, bro. I would say Armaf Peugeot 1. It's got a great deal of birch and cedar under it and some smoky incense, but it is a slight pineapple-based fragrance, but it is quite submerged into birch wood and all that. If you want a pure woody fragrance and you're very daring of an individual, I would highly recommend Ancre Noirs a la Extreme for 30 bucks. It's a designer fragrance. It smells exactly like Chanel's Sycamore from the exclusive line, just more resinous. But this is challenging, meaning you have to be a grown puppy to be dancing in that dog park. You guys will see Greenlee's collection on the next episode. Joel is still scared to submit to the scent bubble, so talk to him about it. You can see Joel's collection if he just hits, he knows where to hit me up. What fragrance would you recommend to the opera concert that turns heads? Black Orchid, Tom Ford. I don't think you could find a better fragrance for a ballroom or a theater than Black Orchid. It's mysterious. It's chocolate cake, but heavy on earthy patchouli, cacao. The orchid note is insane. And believe it or not, I actually like this fragrance over Tom Ford's Black Orchid. But I don't think there's a better fragrance than Black Orchid for the theater. Do you think the Bentley for Men line is too old for a 21-year-old? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Matter of fact, I'm going to tell you fragrances right now as a 21-year-old. They're going to put some hair on your chest, but they're going to make you just smell like a rich 21-year-old who's about his business. Bentley for Men Black Edition, you must have. Bentley for Men Azure, you have to have. Bentley Momentum Unlimited, you have to have. Now, again, what do these fragrances smell like to help you out a little bit? Do I have a shirt on under this? I do. I guess it probably helps to tell you what the fragrance smells like. So Bentley Azure is going to be a slightly herbal not medicinal, but herbal, like kind of like a mint cooling green fragrance on woods, but it's insanely fresh. So it doesn't smell old school at all. It just smells almost in the same line of a Creed's Silver Mountain Water, but more green and slightly herbal. So that'll just kind of hit your fresh fragrance everyday wear type of vibe. And it's got serious signature to it. Bentley Momentum Unlimited is, to me, a better version of Creed Silver Mountain Water. So if you're looking for that nice metallic citric fresh, but you don't want it to smell synthetic, you want it to smell high quality, then you need to get that in your life. That's this bottle right here, and it would go insanely good on a 21-year-old. And then obviously Bentley Black Edition is going to be your more citric on woods fragrance that's extremely fresh. You're going to have the bergamot, you're going to have the mandarin orange, you're going to have the woods, you're going to have a little bit of green in there. It's almost going to smell similar to Mercedes-Benz Intense. It's going to be your modern fougere-esque fragrance, but to me, it's not really a true fougere because it smells, you smell that mandarin orange, but it's just very rich smelling, sophisticated. So you have two fresh everyday fragrances. Then you kind of have a suit and tie or collared shirt type of fragrance. It smells like you're hopping out of the Bentley. And then, yeah, Bentley Azure, Bentley Momentum Unlimited, Bentley Black Edition. Is there anything else I think you should wear from that line? No, start with those three, and if you like my recommendation, I'll push you further into the Bentley rabbit hole. Joe Malone and Jean-Paul Lamal, your opinion. Joe Malone is a house, so what fragrance are you talking about? And Jean-Paul Lamal is, I want to say you mean Jean-Paul Gaultier Lamal, but I don't really know what you're talking about. It's like on one you mentioned a house, on the other you mentioned a house and half of a fragrance. Clarify that question for me, ProCharge. What's up, man? Scent of the day, Valentino, born in Roma, intensifies phrase work to youth group. What's your guys' scent of the day? First off, Isaac, I'm glad you're in youth group. Stay in youth group. Born in Roma, I think, is a perfect fragrance for youth group. What's up, Joel? What did anyone get the name of that fragrance he just showed? Sahib Intense. Scent of the day, straight red clone, CK, very nice collection, Greenlee. Can't wait though. Use my What is Parfums de Marly Galloway like in your experience? I think that's a very vanillic fragrance, if I'm not mistaken. Galloway. Let me just remind myself, guys. Fragrantica. So Galloway has a 4 out of 5 rating out of 1,800 votes. So not a lot of people purchase Galloway, but it has a top note of citrus and pepper, a mid of orange blossom and iris, and a base of musk and amber. I honestly would probably really like Galloway, but the DNA is so linear. I do think that there's a valid clone of Galloway, and you should get that over original PDM, because I don't think the DNA is interesting enough to warrant the $200-300 bottle. Somebody give him the Galloway clone. I haven't heard of the name in a while, but I'm sure Greenlee could look this up. Apparently, like Lalique White, from what I heard. No, I don't think so, Joel. I don't think so. It might be in the wheelhouse, but I mean, it would be like 20% off if it was close. But nonetheless, there is a valid clone of Galloway, but Lalique White is a great option if you want that itch. What's Club de Nuit Lionheart like? I believe Lionheart... What is Lionheart a clone of? So Lionheart is Lamal Elixir, and it's good. Got my Equus, and it's all right. I don't love it. I don't think it's my type. Something about the opening, I can't figure it out. Oh, shoot. I'm going to tell you what's challenging about Lalique Equus. Because a lot of times it's about learning about a fragrance and growing with a fragrance. But I'm going to explain to you my psychology behind why I really think it's a sleeper fragrance. So the note breakdown, and by the way, if you just got Equus and put your nose to it, it will smell insanely simple. And I say that on all my videos. So definitely spray it in the air several times, like 10 times in the air, and let it sit for a couple weeks and keep going back to it. But let me explain my psychology behind why I just really value this fragrance. And I think it's criminally underrated. So when you look at a citrusy fragrance, right? Something like Elysium, something like Tigar, something like Imagination. Citruses on woods, or citruses on vetiver and amber, or citruses on an aquatic or linen. A lot of times these fragrances like Tigar and Imagination and Elysium, not necessarily Elysium as much, but the other two for sure, is they make a citrus basket very beautiful up top. But then it dries down into the aquatic, and then one of the standout citruses kind of stand out. So you eventually end up with a dry down, like a really beautiful opening. And then in the dry down, you get a singular citrus note like lemon, lime, or grapefruit sitting on almost nothing, maybe woods at best. Where I think Elysium really killed it is adding the vetiver. I think sitting vetiver under that grapefruit, the amber warms up on skin and makes the vetiver more complicated. And now you have fruits essentially on woods, but very sophisticated woods, because the woody accord from vetiver is going to smell a lot more intricate than something like a standard like birch, cedar, or basic woodsy note. So I think it's absolutely essential when you have a fruity fragrance to put woods is the bare minimum, but you have to put nuts under the fragrance to really not only make it last long and maintain its DNA from the opening to the dry down, but even from a complexity standpoint, because otherwise smelling citruses on metallics and citrus aquatics becomes very boring, very fast, and not to mention it smells very youthful. When you just have citruses on metallics, or citruses on woods, or citruses on aquatics, or citruses and greens, the fragrance smells younger, early 20s and down. It almost smells like a Banana Republic fragrance, something like a 90 Pure White, or a Cypress Cedar, or a Vintage Green, or a Grasslands. And those are all good fragrances, but they're not star-studded mature fragrances. So where I think Equus is the silent killer is, number one, they go with the citrus top. I believe it's bergamot and grapefruit. I might be wrong on that, but it definitely has a very unique citric top. And it's a very basic formulation. Citrus top, I forget what's in the mid, and then in the base is vetiver and amber. The vetiver complements the citrus and makes it a slightly unfamiliar citrus. It almost gives it like a sour rininess to the citrus. So it's not a typical citrus note like lemon or lime. You know what I'm saying? It's tinged like almost like sour candy. And then it's very it's not very projectively loud. It's a seductive, alluring citric fragrance, but sitting it on vetiver complicates it. And then it's got a really hot, warm amber accord that ramps it up. So unlike citrus fragrances that have a very loud opening and then they quiet down, this one starts quiet and then opens up as it settles on skin. And it's a lot more seductive because the citrus accord is way more interesting than like a singular lemon, lime, grapefruit, or you know, type of note. And then the vetiver and amber combo just kind of create this almost like mature Jolly Rancher type of vibe to it. Give it some time to macerate and really heavily spray it. Don't spray too light, and give it some time. It's a very simple fragrance, but for me, fragrances like this virtually are on par with like an Elysium. They're just a little bit simpler, but in terms of the richness, this feels like a parfum. It's very rich, subdued. You got to get close to it, and that's why I cake on the sprays of this. But Yeah, give it some time to macerate and see how you feel about it. I think for people who don't have a lot of versatility in their citrus category, they're so used to smelling citruses one way that it's like if it doesn't smell like imagination or Tigar, they're just not interested. And to that, I would just say you might need to spend a little bit more time in the fresh category. Smell something with tea. Smell something where it's just one citrus rather than a citrus basket. Get away from metallics for a long time and go into herbals. Go into, stay away from aquatic greens for a while and aqua de geo DNAs and imagination and all that stuff. And really start to find what other aspects of the freshy category that you like, because oftentimes those are what are more signature fragrances. When you smell like to me personally, when you smell like imagination and Tigar and Elysium, you come off very kitty. Like so many DNAs match that. This is something that nobody will smell like, but it still scratches that citrus aquatic amber, gives you the vetiver for the masculinity. And it's not the loudest fragrance for a freshie, but to be quite honest, I'm not one of those type of people that likes to walk in a room and smell like a fruit basket either. Like you just took a basket and threw lemons, limes, apples in it, and you just kind of walking around with fruit basket in your hand. That's not my type of citrus. I like a muffled, subdued citrus where when you get close to it, it radiates, it shines, it opens up. And that's why I think that in the $30 price point, this just can't be beat to me. But do I think it's an insane signature fragrance for the citrus category? Absolutely not. But this is dumb reach. You can literally put this on every single day of the week. You're going to smell good. No one's going to smell like you. And I think over time, I've loved and loved and loved this fragrance more. At first, it was kind of like my Versace Eros. I just wore it. I didn't smell it too much in the air. But over time, I just find myself addicted to it as a nice utility. I can wear it in the office. I could wear it running errands. I could wear it out to lunch with my wife. I can wear it in beating hot sun in Arizona. And I get a lot of play with it. One thing that's very good about Equus is it holds its value very solidly. So if you marketed your fragrance on fragrance groups or anything online, somebody would buy that off of you at MSRP instantly. So, give it some months, see how the fragrance opens up, see if you change and open up to a fragrance. Sometimes a fragrance might speak to you over a certain amount of time and you grow into it. That's happened with me a lot. But if that doesn't happen, you can fully be confident that you'll get full MSRP from anybody you give it to. So good luck with that. I hope that was helpful. Your review on Givenchy Privé Intense. I don't think you need intense Shaurya Mata. I wouldn't get Privé Intense. I mean, Givenchy's Gentleman Reserve Privé is already a 10+ hour fragrance. I think if you wore Intense, your fragrance would scream across the room. And that's not really what that fragrance is for. It's for alluring romance. It's already beast mode. It's already long lasting. It already has an incredible 6 feet of projection and sillage to me. Why go even further and just bomb on a room? You're no longer being seductive, you're being loud. So to me, get the slightly quieter fragrance. It's still going to be loud. It's going to smell more natural. It's not going to be off-putting. It's going to kind of have a pull to it rather than a push. That's just my opinion. Got FOMO Fragheads Asylum a couple of days. But Gary's Den has been sold out forever on Fragrance Buy. I know it's an incredible fragrance. Shamil, what do you think about FOMO Fragheads Asylum? Be truthful. What do you think about the fragrance? Have you smelled the original Elysium? And regardless of if you have, do you like the smell of Fragheads Asylum? Genuinely. Absolutely, Greenlee. Thank you for that tip. Isaac, you could go. Oh, okay, so you're helping Isaac out. What's poppin', Kicks? I hope I'm close down in the chat, man, where I haven't left you hanging, bro. Me and Kix had a wonderful conversation last night, man. We got on the phone and we switched time zones. We were like, man, we got to go pay bills. Ombre Noir is amazing. Easily top 3 frags. I'm in love with it. Hey, I'm glad, SoCal. Isn't it so unique, man? That fragrance will macerate to perfection. How to apply Mancera Instant Crush for high school. I think Instant Crush you can conservatively put on 4 sprays as long as it's directly on skin, and it'll last you all day. Some people go 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't think you need to scent trail a fragrance like that. The sillage and longevity is already A1 on that fragrance. So if it was me and I was being conservative, I didn't want to be a loud boy toy prick looking guy, I might go, on the neck 1, 2, and then hit them with a 3, 4. That way when I'm talking, I'm moving, doing all this, I'm like creating a force field of freaking Instant Crush, and I'm pushing it on the chick. But having it on the sillage doesn't really make sense. No woman's really trailing you in high school. You're walking into chicks, politicking and doing everything. You want all the projection in front of you. That's just my opinion. But if it was me, bro, and I was outside a lot and all that, I might hit my stuff with 6 sprays. But I might do the last 2 under the shirt, so that way it subdues it a little bit and kind of contains it, so that later in the day that stuff will creep out. Also, what would be a cheaper version of Mancera Instant Crush? I think something in the wheelhouse of that would be something like a Mir Cedrat Essence. Something kind of in the wheelhouse, but honestly it's a reach, is try something like a Vibrant Vetiver Delight. This is one of the most slept on cheapy vetivers. I think they did an incredible job of matching Byredo's Ball de Freak. I mean, it's exactly Ball de Freak, just without the kind of forest level freshness under it. Like, Ball de Freak has a earthiness under it that's pretty rich. Almost smells like, y'all ever remember that old restaurant called Rainforest Cafe? You used to go in there and they have the water and the animals and the fake birds chirping and all that. Ball de Freak has kind of a rainforest wetness under it that makes it have a little more sophistication, for, rightfully so in its price point. This just smells like an expensive Sprite. It lacks that rich earthiness. Sometimes I like to layer Encre Noir Sport under it just to give it kind of a Eau Sauvage green feel under it to kind of match it, but it really doesn't need it. It's just one of the most playful vetivers out there. Really cool presentation. It matches the clone to me like 9 to 9.5 out of 10. It's a $20, $30 fragrance, and it's just fun. It's awesome. It's the equivalent of wearing something like Banana Republic 78 Vintage Green. You have kind of a synthetic green, but it does feel earthy to some degree, but it is synthetic. And then it's, I believe, black tea and fig. Who would have thought, most fig fragrances are fig forward, and this is like a figgy mid. So the sweetness is dialed back just perfectly. And I think that's due to the black tea and the synthetics that are involved in making that green note. So it's mostly a green black tea fragrance with a little gut punch of fig. And so Vibrant Vetiver Delight feels in the wheelhouse of this, but this is fresher. So you might even spray some of this under your Vibrant Vetiver Delight if you want Ball de Freak from Byredo, but I don't think it's necessary. Just go all in with the playfulness and have a good time. When I'm wearing Vintage Green 78, I'm hitting myself with 25 sprays. I don't care. I'm just going out and having fun, vibrating that radiant green tea and fig, because I know it's going to die off in like 2 hours anyway, and I'm just having a ball with it. And you can do the same thing. Now, however, so there's 2 things I absolutely love about this fragrance. Check out this pressurized atomizer. Did you see that? Let me spray it upward. Look at that. It went from the bottom to the top of the screen, going upwards against gravity. This fragrance, you'll spray it 4 to 6 times on skin, and you won't smell it. You'll go nose blind. And then 10 hours later, you will smell it in the air, and you'll realize that you might not be able to smell it, but everybody smells it around you. This has genuinely about 5 to 6 feet of projection. about 3-4 feet of sillage. And this is a 10+ hour fragrance if you do 5 to 6, like anything north of 5 sprays. So this is a slow, subtle killer of monster performance. It actually scared me one night. Like one night I woke up out of bed and it smelled like I just sprayed 15 sprays on my skin, even though I only sprayed like 6 to 8 sprays that morning. It absolutely woke me up out of bed. I appreciate that ratio comparison, Greenlee. Thank you. Which one has greater SPL between those two? I don't know. Oh, Seahawks projection longevity. I don't know which one you're comparing, but it looks like they're answering that for you. It's not going to be redundant if I buy Sauvage when I have Salvador Ferragamo's Uomo Casual Life. I don't know. I'm not qualified to answer that question. It's rare that I can't answer a question, but I'm not going to lie to you. What are your thoughts on Uomo Leather? Uomo Leather. Who's that by? Are you talking about Ferragamo's Uomo Intense or Ferragamo Uomo Intense, is it? Clarify that for me. Oh, thank you, Kicks. What's the max amount of money you would ever consider paying for a fragrance? I'm going to be honest with you guys. I will pay any amount of money for a discovery set or a decant or a travel spray. But I will never, at this point in my journey, spend over $200 for a fragrance. If the fragrance is more than $200, I'm going to be looking for a smaller size, like a 50 or a 30 ml, and just eat the bill on it. But when I go to Neiman Marcus, I'm going to be honest with you guys, and I need to sit down for half a second, so hopefully you guys can bear with me. When I go to Neiman Marcus, and I do it a lot, I have smelled almost every fragrance from Chanel Exclusive, Amouage, Xerjoff, Mind Games, Creed, Bond Number 9, Roja Parfums, Initio, Frederick Malle, Tom Ford, and I know I'm missing one or two brands. Joe Malone. I have never smelled a fragrance yet over the $200 price point that I have to have. It just hasn't happened, guys. I've smelled fragrances over $200 that were amazing, but not that spoke to me. You know, I think that's a big difference when it comes to niche fragrance buying. Is there's a lot of fragrances that I think are worth 30 ml, maybe even 50 ml, but I can rarely justify a $200+ purchase for 100 ml of a fragrance. Typically in niche, they're very occasion based, at least the ones that I gravitate towards. And when you have an occasion or a season specific fragrance, you do not need 100 ml. It's important to be conscious of your spending and how you want to build out your collection. And maybe you could get to a point where you own so much fragrance that now you're buying fragrances a lot less frequently and you're looking for really high-end niche fragrances. Like for instance, I've recently been looking into what's the chick's name from the UK? What is her name? Oh, I forget her name. I wish I even knew her fragrances. Dang. What is her name? Oh, I don't know. Like for instance, my niche homie just came over last week, and I smelled everything from Boudicca, I believe. I smelled Bois Imperial, a lot of Novitus, a lot of dang, what's that giant bottle? Shoot, I almost said Invictus like an idiot. Oh, what is that fragrance called? Electimus. Smelled a lot of Electimus. And yeah, nothing's just spoke to me yet. How do you try clones or cheaper fragrances? Typically, you can always get decants, but I think the easiest way to try clones is to just build a community of friends where when they buy fragrances and you buy fragrances, you send each other decants. That's the best way to do it. And then you judge between the decants and just watching a lot of YouTube videos, and you eventually pull the trigger on something. But you should build a friend circle. That's the best way to get decants. Also, Facebook fragrance groups always decant their bottles of clones. So hopefully that helps. What's the best frag for getting easy play in high school? Eros EDT, 100, 1000%. Joel, I'm going to be honest with you, man. In high school, fragrance does get play. Yeah, having game helps. But if you have game, you don't need fragrance because 2/3 of the people in the room ain't even wearing a fragrance. And the 1/3 that's wearing fragrance is wearing Axe body spray and Dove bar soap and, and you know, toxic liquid fragrance-based body washes. So you'd be out gaming that any day without fragrance. Fragrance does get a lot of play. Matter of fact, I remember in high school, so many other girls that I hadn't like hung out with used to say, "Oh, such and such says you always smell good," or such and such said, "Man, she loves going into class because you always smell good," and stuff. And believe it or not, that stuff does get play. So fragrance does get you play in high school because the girl is so linear that just having a fragrance is it's almost like in high school, if you were the dude driving the old Lexus or the old Beamer or the old pickup truck dropped out, you were getting play just because you had the car. You know what I'm saying? You didn't have to have no game. If you had the car, she just wanted to be able to say, "Hey, I drove with Johnny in the Dodge Charger yesterday. It was so much fun." Yeah, you're getting play. So, you know, to his point, that's a completely valid question because in high school, fragrance alone with no game at all could absolutely get you play. But the answer to that question is Versace Eros EDT. What is the green one he's talking about? Probably Vibrant Vetiver Delight. Yep. Ferragamo Uomo Signature. I don't remember what your question was, Waffle, but that is an extremely nice signature fragrance. It's probably the top 2 best Ferragamo fragrances, top 3 at least. Is Rebel Port Homme everyday high school fragrance? It's okay. Yeah, but it's okay. It's not special. I mean, the fragrances I'm familiar with that are getting a lot of good play right now in high school, and that's just due to the feedback from the kids that hit me up right now, is Latafa Zanzibar is getting crazy play in high school. Armaf Peugeot 1 is getting great play in high school. Again, we're talking clones only. Assad is kind of iffy. What other clones are getting crazy play right now? Iconic, Club de Nuit Iconic is getting crazy play in high school right now. So Iconic, Zanzibar, Peugeot 1. Tarathi Blue is getting crazy play at the high school level right now. Sahib Intense is getting crazy play at the high school level. Yeah, start with those. You'll be set. Tuxedo is getting crazy play, so Kismet or Tarathi Brown, crazy play at high school. Yay, I got to the bottom of chat, guys. Heck yeah. Someone should have told me in high school way back when. I would have had more action. Well, listen, Joel, in fairness, when you were in high school, you weren't going to be getting a lot of play wearing Drakkar. In my day in high school, you started to have fragrances like Aqua di Gio and Gucci Guilty and Marc Jacobs and um, uh, Givenchy play, Lacoste Red Style and Play. Um, uh, you know, that was the big boom of Axe body spray and Axe shower gels and stuff. So you had, you know, Axe shower gels were basically the first Cremo fragrances. Cremo kind of attacks more of the young male becoming a man type of DNAs, you know, so they're Fougere-esque, but in a hip, cool young man way. Whereas Axe body spray was trying to make you smell like a boy toy, you know, it would be like dark cherry and amber, watermelon, sour apple, you know, basically trying to smell like the male equivalent to Bath and Body Works DNAs. So that was a real hip time to wear fragrance. And you'd get a lot more play back then because there was kind of a new modern twist to fragrance. But if you were back in the day rocking things like Obsession and Jupe and Dracar Noir, it would have been a lot harder to get play smelling like that girl's father. You know what I'm saying? You know, fragrances in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, I feel probably were a little bit harder to get play because, you know, you're not really smelling like a young, hip kind of, you know, grease lightning kind of guy. You were smelling like a barbershop, and it's less likely to get action when the girl feels like you smell like dry woods or a green forest or oriental fougere spices, peppers, and stuff like that. So the early 2000s was really kind of a new surge of versatile fragrance wearing and new hip DNAs that I think would have had a lot more play at the high school level. So for those of you who don't know, I am an audio engineer. I mix music. So the speakers behind me are a part of my speaker set for mixing. And then I have obviously a lot of studio gear right here. I've got other micro monitors and speaker sets and analog gear and multiple microphones and cameras, you know, stuff like that. So Fougeres and Chypres are my thing. Nice. Sphinx was my favorite body spray. Nice. Cool Water's coming out with a parfum soon, right, guys? I'm pretty sure. We're going to close up here in like another minute or so. So if you guys have any last minute questions and comments, feel free to throw those in the chat right now. I'm going to give you guys about a minute to ask any last minute questions and whatnot. And then we're going to go ahead and sign off for the night. I just kind of wanted to get on and say what's up to the people. Let's go ahead and start powering all this down. Take care, Joel. Thank you so much. Greenlee, thank you so much. As usual, love you guys, man. Appreciate y'all to death. You guys are the lifeblood of my chat. Davidoff has a new fougere called Indigo. Interesting. Yeah, I think they also have a parfum coming out. That's the news I heard. All right, guys, it doesn't look like there's any more questions left. Again, if there's anything that I didn't answer, please throw it in the comment section of this live, and I'd be happy to answer it for you in a 24-hour period. We got a lot of crazy episodes coming this week. Collabs, game shows, comparisons, house reviews, all that good stuff. So make sure you subscribe if you're new. And yeah, really appreciate everybody in chat contributing and look forward to dropping all this fire content for you guys this week. Scent Bubble signing out, man. Y'all have an amazing rest of your day. A good beach frag for Waffle before I go is going to be Latafa Zanzibar. It's going to be on par with your Lamal, your Ultramil, your LeBeau. And it is a beautiful tropical fragrance, very smooth, very long lasting, and it is much better than Assad to me. Y'all have a great night, man. Peace.